Hey guys! Recently, I've been playing a bit of My Perfect Hotel from Say Games, and I must admit that I liked their cleaning system. So I tried to reproduce it, and I'm gonna show you how you can do it too. Alright, here's what I came up with. So we've got a small room, a bed, a bedside table, and some drawers right there. Okay, so we've got our character imported from my mobile farming course. And what you can do is get close to the bed, clean it. Same thing for the bedside table and for the drawers. Awesome! So let's jump right into it and learn how you can do that too. All right, so I'm going to exit the play mode and create a brand new scene right here. So let's right click, create a new scene, and let's call it cleaning scene. I don't know why I called it that way, but yeah, it's actually pretty decent. Cool. So the first thing we want to do is add our character. So I'm going to grab it from the mobile farming game folder right here, grab the character and drop it here. Awesome. Let's center it. Here it is. We've got our character ready to move. Nice. I'm also going to drag and drop the main canvas from the same course. And don't worry, I'm going to link all of the project files in my Gumroad. Link in the description. Okay, so the main canvas right here contains the mobile joystick zone, which contains the mobile joystick. So let's select the player, drag the mobile joystick, hit play, and right away we've got a fully functional character. Awesome. Perfect. Let's now rearrange the camera a bit more. But first off, I'm going to select Tools, Organize Hierarchy. And you can find this shortcut right here in my Code Ninja course. It's a free course where I explain how you can use menu items to extend the Unity editor. All right, so let's reorganize our elements right here. So the main canvas should go inside of the UI game object, the directional light and main camera inside of the environment. And we're good to go now. Awesome. So let's select Window, Package Manager, and import the Cinemachine package. I've already done that. So let's close the Package Manager window. Right click, select Cinemachine Virtual Camera. Awesome. Let's call it Player Camera. Here we go. Let's grab it and drop it inside of the environment game object. We are going to specify the player as the follow transform along with the look at transform. Perfect. Let's now rearrange our values right here. So I want the camera to be above the player, somewhere around here, let's say, maybe a bit more. Let's increase this value. Okay, seems correct. Let's diminish the damping, set it to 0 actually. And maybe increase the Y value of the aim component. Here we go. Let's try this, hit play. That's actually way better. Awesome. Let's now create our room. So I'm going to right click and create a new plane. This will be our ground. So let's call it ground. Let's reset the transform, of course. Let's increase the scale to, let's say, 50 by 50. Cool. And I'm going to create a new material for this ground. So let's open our MPH cleaning system folder. I already have a material. So yeah, let's actually use these materials just to save some time. So let's grab the outside material and apply it to the ground. Perfect. Let's now create our room. So right click, create an empty game object and call it room. Let's reset the transform again. Right click, 3D object, plane, and this will be our room ground. Perfect. Let's apply the ground material. Here we go. And bring it up just a little bit. So 0.01. Just so that it is standing above the outside ground. Here we go. So we are going to keep the dimensions as this for now. And right now I can notice that my camera should be a bit more above the player. So let's increase the Y value right here. Okay, here we go. Maybe bring it closer. Something like that should be good, I guess. Yep, should be nice. All right. We are going to deal with the visuals later on. Don't worry about that. We are going to add a bit of post-processing. All right, so the room should have walls, but before adding the walls, we are going to add our bed, bedside table, and drawer. I grabbed them from Sketchfab, and these models are made by Pricey from India. Thank you so much. Here is the drawer, here is the bed, and here is the bedside table. You can download them from there or grab them from the project files. Okay. So let's open our models folder, Pricey Sketchfab. Let's grab our bed, bedside table, and drawer. Here they are, perfect. And what's cool about these models is that the meshes are separated. If you select the bed, you can notice that you can isolate this blanket, for instance, and this will make things way easier for us when we'll want to mess the bed up. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to unpack these prefabs like so. Prefab, unpack. Perfect. Let's rename this one bed. This one is actually bedside table. Okay, and this is the drawer. Awesome. So I can notice that the bedside table doesn't have materials applied to it. So I'm going to select all of these elements right here. These one, two. Okay, here we go. And apply the bedside table material. Here we go. So these materials, I'm also going to change the material for the bed because I already have one. So let's select bedside, not bedside table, come on, bed material. And for the drawer, it's going to be the same thing. Let's select everything and drawer material. Here we go. So now let's rearrange our elements a bit better. I'm going to select the bed, rotate it by -90 degrees. Perfect. Let's grab the drawer and rotate it a bit around the y-axis, something like that. Maybe let's bring it closer to the bed, somewhere around here, I guess. Yep, here we go. And let's apply the same thing for the bedside table. So let's grab the bedside table and drop it somewhere around here. Here we go. So now we need to add our walls. But first, I'm going to grab these elements and drop them as children of the room. Perfect. Let's now create a new game object. Call it walls. Right-click, 3D object, cube, front wall. Let's start with the front wall. I'm going to change the material because I already have a wall material right here. Let's increase the X scale to 5. Okay, the Y scale can be 3 and the Z scale 0.2 for 20 centimeters. Okay, let's bring this up somewhere around here. Let's bring it forward a bit more. Yep, this is decent. I like it. Maybe we should bring these elements a bit to the right. So let's grab all of these and move them to the right. Here we go. Let's add some baseboards just to make the visuals a bit more enjoyable. So baseboard, I'm gonna make it white. Okay, here it is. Let's diminish the Y scale and move them to the left, something like that. Here we go. So this is our front wall. I'm going to duplicate it, rotate it by 90 degrees or -90 degrees and move it to the left. Here we go. I'm just going to move it a bit forward, let's say, somewhere around here. Yep, that's nice. You can then rearrange them a bit better. Come on. Let's duplicate it. Move this one to the right. Okay, this is our right wall and it should be it. So let's diminish the scale of our plane here. Okay, let's switch to the top view. Here we go. Like so. And the X scale too. Nice. We now have a nice, beautiful room to deal with. And we are still going to improve the graphics later on, don't worry. Okay, I'm just going to rearrange these a bit more, a bit better. Okay, the drawer should be somewhere around here and the bed here. That's awesome. Okay, so now that we've got our main layout, let's start dealing with the real stuff. First off, here is how we are going to proceed. Every element right here, so the bed, the drawer, and the bedside table, will have a cleanable script attached to it. We'll also add some box colliders just to prevent passing through them. And whenever we get close to one of these elements, so one of the cleanable elements, we are going to try and clean it. So let's first add a circular fill image on top of each one of these elements, shall we? So let's select the bed first, right-click, create an empty game object, and let's call it bed parent. Let's add a box collider. Perfect. We are going to edit its size. So let's do it really quickly, like so. Perfect. That's nice. Let's deal with the Z value now. Okay, maybe from a top view, it will be more convenient. Okay, perfect. Let's now add the circular fill image to this one. So right-click and create a UI canvas. The canvas will help us drop UI elements on top of the bed. So I'm just going to switch the render mode from screen space overlay to world space. Let's pass in our camera. Perfect. And now we can create UI elements inside of our world. So let's reset the transform. Let's set a width of 1 and a height of 1. Perfect. Let's bring it here, a bit on top of the bed, somewhere around here should be good. Let's right click, UI, image. This one is too big. So let's diminish the scale of the image, maybe 1 by 1. Here we go. That's way better. We are going to select the circle as the background. Okay. Let's change the color to something a bit darker, maybe 20 for the value. Okay. I'm going to rename this one gauge background. Here we go. Let's duplicate it, make it a child of the gauge background, stretch it along the image. Perfect. And rename it gauge fill. Okay. I'm going to keep this image, but switch the image type from simple to filled. Awesome. Let's actually change the color to something bluish, easier on the eyes. And let's try and diminish the fill amount value. Okay, I want it to start from the top, and yep, that's perfect. I'm just going to add an outline to the image, so gauge outline. Perfect. Let's change the image to this one, make it white, and switch the image type to simple. Here we go. That's way better. To complete the visuals of the gauge, I'm just going to duplicate the gauge outline and rename it gauge icon, let's say. So let's select our clean icon. I think I should diminish its size. So let's press T in the scene view and diminish its size to something like that. That's way better. Awesome. So this is our first gauge right here. Now let's learn how we can interact with it. For that, I'm going to create a new script and attach it to my player. So let's select our player right here. Open the scripts folder, right-click, create a new C# script, and call it my cleaning system. Okay, it's just to differentiate it from the cleaning system because I want to keep that script there. Okay. Let's select the player again and attach the My Cleaning System script to the player. Let's open it. Perfect. And the first thing I want to do is detect any object that has a cleanable or My Cleanable script. So let's actually create the My Cleanable script too. My Cleanable. Here we go. Let's now select the bed parent and attach the My Cleanable script to it. Perfect. Let's now go back to our My Cleaning System script. Inside of the update method, we want to call the detect cleanables method. It's in existence, so we need to create it. So private void detect cleanables. Perfect. In here, we are going to use the physics.overlapSphere method. So collider, it does return a collider array, so we are going to store them right here. Detected colliders equals physics.overlapSphere. So the main position will be our transform.position, so that's the player position, and the radius will be our detection radius, like so. So let's create a variable for our detection instead of hard coding it. So settings, serialize field, private float, detection radius. Perfect. And I'm going to show you a cool trick that you can use to visualize your detection radius inside of the scene view. For that, you are going to use the onDrawGizmos method. In here, you can set the color of your gizmos. So gizmos.color equals color.red, let's say. Gizmos.drawWireSphere from transform.position. So the same center that we've used previously. And the radius will be the detection radius. Awesome. Let's go back to Unity and check if it's working. Let's select the player, increase the detection radius, and indeed, we can now spot it inside of the scene view. So now any cleanable object inside of this sphere will be detected. Cool. So I'm just going to diminish it to something like maybe 0.5, so that we need to be very close to any cleanable to be able to clean it. Awesome. Let's now go back to our script. So we've got our detected colliders right here. Now what we want to do is check if one of these has the cleanable or My Cleanable script attached to it. So let's create a for each loop. So for each collider collider in detected colliders. Let's check if we've got the myCleanable class. If collider.tryGetComponent out myCleanable cleanable, like so, then let's clean the cleanable. So cleanable.clean. Awesome, isn't it? So now we just need to create the clean method inside of the myCleanable class. So let's hold Control and click the class to open it right away. Let's create the public void clean method. Awesome, so we shouldn't have any error anymore. That's cool. And inside of this method, we are simply going to increase the fill mount value of this image right here, so the gauge. So let's do that. We first need a reference to that image, of course, so we will need the UnityEngine.ui library. So UnityEngine.ui library. Elements, as usual, I like organizing my variables. I don't know if you do, but yeah, drop a comment if that's the case. Serialize field, private image. Let's call it gauge fill, something like that. Yeah, maybe use the same name that we've used right here, right there. That's okay. So gauge fill amount plus equals, to increment it, a certain value. I don't want to hard code this value, so I'm just going to pass it in from the myCleaning system right here. So let's create a variable for that. Serialize field, private float, cleaning speed, let's say. And of course, if you wanted to have multiple cleaning speeds per item, like let's say the bed takes 1 second to clean and this one, the drawer, takes only half a second, you wouldn't do it like this. You would instead add the cleaning speed inside of the myCleanable class instead of using it inside of the myCleaning system. But yeah, it's just a design choice. Okay, so let's now check if the fill amount is greater or equals to 1. And if that's the case, we can simply set the cleanable as clean. So if gauge fill amount is greater or equals to 1, then set as clean. As simple as it gets. So private void set as clean. In here, we are simply going to debug.log. Hey, I'm clean. I don't know. I'm so bad. If you know me, I'm so bad at finding names or debug lines. But anyway, the thing is that it needs to work. You can use any debug line that you want. Come on. Okay, so we've got an error right here. We need to pass in the cleaning speed, but not just like that. If you pass in the cleaning speed just like that, the cleaning speed will be different from device to device because it will depend on the frame rate of the device. To prevent that issue, you can multiply this by time.delta time, and now you're good. Okay, so let's go back to Unity now. Let's try and clean this. Let's set the cleaning speed to 1 because it's going to be multiplied by time.delta time, which is 0.01416, something like that, or 60 frames per second. Let's try and hit play. Should we hit play? No, we need to specify the image right here. So gauge fill right here, and now hit play. Okay, let's try and fill it. Yep, I'm clean, but it's returning I'm clean so many times. We shouldn't have this. So how can we fix that? We are simply going to open our myCleaning system class, and instead of cleaning the cleanable right away, we are first going to check if it's already clean or not. So if cleanable.isClean, but we want the opposite of it, so you can either use the exclamation mark or create an isDirty class. You're free to do so. So yeah, isClean, let's create that class. Public boolean isClean. Return isClean. So let's create this boolean right here. Let's create a settings, maybe. Yeah, settings header. Public, private, bool isClean. Like so. Awesome. So at first, the isClean is false. You know what? I'm going to create a mess up method just to initialize our bed or our cleanable as messed up. So private void mess up. In here, we want to set the value of the gauge field to 0, like so, and also set isClean to false, like so. Perfect. And of course, when we set it as clean, we want to set the isClean variable to true. Awesome. So now let's mess up our bed at start. Sorry, if that's not the right syntax or the right words to say, let's say, please let me know. Okay, so now let's try and hit play. The gauge should empty. That's the case. Let's try and fill it. Okay. Hey, I'm clean. Awesome. And it has only been debugged once. That's really cool. So this is working perfectly. Now we need to add the visuals on top of that. How can we do that? And by the way, we should also hide the canvas whenever the item is cleaned. Let's try and do that. So let's add a reference to the canvas. So serialize field, private canvas, or maybe game object, because we're simply going to disable or enable it. Let's call it canvas. Okay. So if we mess it up, we are going to set canvas.setActive true. We want to display the gauge. But when we set it as clean, we can just disable the canvas. As simple as it gets. Okay, so that's one thing. Now what we need to do is add some cool animations whenever it's clean or messed up, right? So let's do that. But first, let's add a reference to the canvas. Awesome. So let's use animations for that. Okay, let's select the bed parent. I guess, yep. Let's select the bed parent. I'm going to open my animations folder, and I already have animations for the bed and so on, but I'm going to recreate them with you so that you can learn how to reproduce them. So let's right click, create a new folder, bed, let's say new, I guess. Let's open the folder, right click, create, animation controller, new bed animator. Awesome. Let's grab it and attach it to the bed parent. Awesome. Let's now open the animation tab, and if you can't spot it, you can find it in Window, Animation, Animation. Here we go. Let's now create a new animation for the bed. Let's call it clean new. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, let's actually just call it clean. I already have a clean animation, but that's okay. Let's start recording. Okay, so from here, it's just artistry. You're free to do whatever you want, but just follow these rules. First off, go to, let's say 40 frames or 30 frames, okay? I'm gonna start from 40 frames. I'm gonna select the elements I wanna clean and actually lock their positions. So add key and also lock the rotations, add key. Same thing for, I guess, the pillow, but let's check. Oh, the pillow is in two parts. So I'm just going to make this as a child of this so that I can control the pillow as one game object. Yeah, that's better. So let's lock its position and rotation. So that's two elements. I'm also going to mess up with this pillow too. So let's add a key for the position and add a key for the rotation. Cool. Now let's go back to the first frame, or to frame 0. Now I can mess up things. Okay, you go there, and you go here. No, just kidding. That's too much, actually. So let's actually just rotate this one a bit, like so, maybe a bit to the right. This one can go here, maybe. Let's rotate it. Okay, move it up. And let's rotate this big pillow, maybe something like this. Okay, now the bed is messed up. Perfect. So this is our clean animation. If you hit space, everything goes back into place. Awesome. So now let's create the mess up animation. So I'm going to create a new clip. Let's call it mess up. Go back to the clean animation. Select the messed up frame. So that's the first one. Copy all of the keyframes. Go back to the mess up animation and paste all of the keyframes. And you're basically done. So now you're only left with the bed parent. Let's actually disable the preview mode. Open the animator. Right click and create a new idle state, like so. set it as the layer default state so that it doesn't mess up with our two other animations. Okay, double click on the clean animation and disable the looping. Same thing for the mess up. And we're done. Now let's try and play these animations. For that, we are going to open the myCleanable class. Let's add a reference to the animator. So serialize field, private animator, animator. Okay. So whenever we call the messup method, we want to call the animator dot play mess up. As simple as it gets. And when we want to clean our elements, we are going to call the animator dot play clean. So simple. I'm sure you got that. So let's give it a shot. Let's reference the animator right here, hit play. So the bed is now messed up. Let's try and, come on, why is it looping? I don't know, but it shouldn't. That's okay. Let's try and clean this bed. Oh, so cool. That's working, guys. Awesome. So now we are only left with these other elements that we need to configure for it to be complete. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show you how to improve your visuals, and I'll call it a day because the video is already too long. Okay, so for that, we are just going to right-click on the Environment tab, select Create Empty. Let's call it Global Volume, let's say. Okay, let's now add a component. We're going to add a volume component to this game object. I'm just going to select New for the profile. Perfect. And add an override. Post-processing, color adjustments. Cool. Let's check the saturation and contrast checkboxes. I'm going to improve the contrast a bit more and the saturation too, but nothing happens here. Why? This is because the main camera has the post-processing disabled. So let's enable it. That's already really weird. Let's actually diminish the contrast a bit more and play with these values. Post exposure, maybe expose it a bit more. Yeah, that's too much. Indeed. Let's diminish or improve the contrast and diminish the saturation. Yeah, that's already way better. Perfect. Now, one thing that I want to add is, or maybe two things, but the particle systems are quite easy to add. If you want to see me add them, let me know. I'm gonna try and do that. Now I want this icon right here to always face the camera, because if you hit play, at some point it might be hard to notice that you've got something to clean right here. So yeah, it would be actually way better if it was facing the camera. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, so let's select the bed parent, myCleanable. Okay, we already have a reference to the canvas. So inside of the update method, I'm going to create a canvas face camera method, like so. So let's create it, private void, canvas face camera. Okay, and what I want to do in here is simply manipulate the forward vector of the canvas. If you select the canvas, you can notice that it does have a forward vector, like any other game object actually. What we want to do is to make it face the camera, not the forward vector, but the back vector instead. So we will need to grab the direction from the camera to the canvas and apply it as the forward vector of the canvas so that it shows up kind of like that. Got it? So let's try and do that. Okay, let's go back to our script and let's create a new vector3 for the direction. It will be equals to our camera.main.transform.position minus the canvas.transform.position. But we will need to normalize this. So let's add parentheses and normalize it. Cool. Now we simply need to apply that as the forward vector of the canvas. So canvas.transform.forward equals direction. And we should be good to go. I hope that's okay. Let's try. Go back to Unity, hit play. Let's focus on the canvas. Yep, okay, seems like it's rotating. And we also have a nice view in the game view. Cool. That's working really well. Let's fix the bed. Here we go. Awesome. So now I can show you the final version. It's in main. I just added a bit of polish, but yeah, that's kind of similar. Now you know how to apply all of these changes. Okay, so now you can clean the bed, of course, you can clean the drawer, and you can clean the table. Additionally, you could add some sounds, you can add vibrations, you could add, I don't know, better particles. You could add so many things. Or you can add a maid that would clean the room for you, like in My Perfect Hotel. And of course, if you want me to explain how you could do something similar, let me know. Don't forget to grab the project files from the link in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.